Hi, I'm John, and welcome back to Dice Paper Miniatures. In today's episode, I have an unboxing for the Pariah Nexus for Warhammer 40k Kill Team.
Alright, let's begin.
Okay, so here's the box for Pariah Nexus. Yeah, pretty weighty. For those of you that really watch the YouTubes for Kill Team content, a number of early reviews have already come in, a number of early unboxings, the folks that basically got a pre-release sent to them. But I wanted to go ahead and give my thoughts on it, mostly speaking in regards to the value of this box set. I'll comment on a few of the other YouTubers' comments as well on this release, but I wanted to give my thoughts on it and where I think it falls within the value for your buck. All right, so let's go ahead and flip this over so you can see the backside. Again, I know some of you have already seen this, but if not, these are the contents. You get terrain pieces, a board, a rule book, but not the rule book, your Primaris heavy intercessors, and your Chronomancer along with the Flayed ones. Now, this was kind of funny. A guy in the shop was like, holy crap, you only get 3 intercessors and 3 Flayed ones? No. You actually get 5 Flayed ones plus the Chronomancer, and then you get 5 heavy intercessors plus Space Marine Captain. So technically 6 and 6. Okay, so let's go ahead and begin. That's just semantics. So for those of you that are really familiar with Kill Team, it's been about a year since we've had a release, so the community's been really waiting for something new. Anyway, so here, the format of this box set, as far as the box itself goes, is very similar to the Rogue Trader box release from last year. I'm actually going to speak to that. In fact, that may have been 2 years ago now, because that's a good role model, if you will, or a guide for the value that's in this box, as well as a couple other things I'll go into on this review. So we have our Chronomancer sprue. In fact, he has 2 sprues to make him. Set that off to the side there. And then terrain pieces, of course. Pretty beefy terrain pieces. How practical are these for other uses? Hard to say. They're definitely good for the included board. They may see use in other compositions of board arrangements that you have. But for the most part, perfect for this set. Kind of indifferent for other sets. Now, if you're a Necron player, then you might get more mileage out of these in your other games because you may be setting up the boards to kind of favor the look of your army. Okay, so now we also have the sprue for the Space Marine Captain. And then we have the sprue for the 5 Flayed ones. I really wanted to use Flayed ones back in the day when Necrons were first released in the original Kill Team game. Never got around to it. They've changed a little bit in the rules. As I understand it, they don't hit quite as hard, but they hit more often. So there's a little bit of a trade-off in that. But that's okay. And then we have our heavy intercessor sprue. It's one big sprue. And these sculpts are amazing. Okay, so first thing we have here is the kind of the protector card. Typically 2-sided, this one is. Pretty much what you'd expect. Some cool art on one side, just the logo on the other. Still using the old 40k style logo, so that's cool. Works well with the Kill Team logo. And of course the bases. The new rule book. Again, not the Kill Team rule book, but the rules for this Pariah Nexus expansion. We got the cards for both armies, and then the board, and a decal sheet. That's cool. Initial reactions. Again, I knew this going in, a little bit what to expect. You can see my camera set up above. That's funny. So initial reactions. If you play Kill Team, I do think this is probably a must-have. If you play 40K and you want the heavy intercessors and the flayed ones, right now, as of this recording, this is the only way, other than, finding them on eBay separately. This is the only way you can get those models right now. I'm sure that will change in the near future, but for now, this is how you can get those models. So this retails in the US for 160. 160 for 12 models. Is that a good deal? No, that is not a good deal. 160 for the models, the terrain sprues, the cards, the board, and the rulebook. Is that a good deal for 160? This is where it gets challenging. I would say yes and no for the Kill Team player, that is. For the Kill Team player, if you've been a Kill Team player for a while, then there's a good argument that this is not necessarily a good deal, but not a bad deal. Now, if you're new to Kill Team, this is arguably a bad deal because this is just a glorified expansion. It's not a new starter set. It's not the new arena, which I think a number of us were led to believe this was the arena replacement. Again, because it has the flat board with the one tier or level terrain. It's not multi-leveled or multi-tier terrain. It has like a campaign style book or rule book just for this specific expansion. Then, of course, it has cards for both armies or factions. It feels like Arena did. Arena was cheaper. Did not come with an army, though, but it came with a more complete experience. Now, that being said, that was also because the original Arena was shortly around or came out around the same time that the original starter set was out. Whether or not you got the first starter set or if you got the second release starter set. In fact, I want to say the second release starter set of the Space Wolf Primaris Reaver Marines and the Tau, that came out, I think, within a couple months apart of each other with the Arena. So the starter set and the Arena were relatively close. This, again, still took over a year to receive this follow-up. Now, in regards to Rogue Trader, as I mentioned, I'm going to pull this off to the side. This similar box size came out shortly after the original first edition starter set came out. This retailed in my local shop for $130. In fact, it may have been as high as $150. This may be a sales price, but I was able to pick this up in my store for $130. So I'm going to go with $130. It still holds up to $150 too. If this was $150, whatever. You got a single board. You got the Rogue Trader expansion book, similar to what we got with this new Kill Team. So far, it's pretty apples to apples comparison. We had indoor, a level 1 or only one tier terrain. So basically doors and little crates and office items, if you will, throughout your starship. So that being said, the board is similar, the book is similar, the terrain is similar. Where this deviates wildly in regards to Pariah Nexus, you received in this box 10 Elucidian Starstriders, which were the heroes basically of your box set. 10 of these models. But the Gellerpox Infected, you received 23. So this box, whether it was 130 or 150, you got 33 models compared to 12 that you just got in Pariah Nexus. That is a significant difference, especially when you consider that a number of the Gellerpox in general were fairly large models. Some were smaller, but a number of them were large monster models. So in retrospect, this had a lot of value for the money. You may not have liked the sculpts for the Gellerpox. You may not have liked the sculpts for the Starstriders. I get that. But the value of this box was pretty high, all things considered. High for 150, definitely high for 130. So that's my point of reference as to gauging whether or not the 160 value is dialed into where it should be. Now, granted, because of the pandemic and other reasons, the price of things are starting to go up a little bit. And so we've seen a price increase across the board for most of GW product range in the last 6 months, relatively speaking. So you could see a $10 to $20 increase on a box like this, sure. So even with that said, something else to consider. I don't have the Elite expansion boxes at this time. I did, but I flipped them. I will admit I no longer have them available. But this is an example of the original expansion boxes, the elite models were basically a similar model count, but the price was a little higher. So I believe these, when these came out initially, were like 40 or $50, but the elite versions, same packaging, they were 60 to 65. I think they were 65. Let's say they're 65. So if you were to put two of these together, you would get the equivalent of 10 to 12 models, similar to Pariah Nexus. You would get a number of terrain elements or terrain pieces to add to your board. In any event, a number of terrain pieces, plus your data cards. So if you were to take this and times it times 2, 65 times 2 would be 130, which is actually where the Rogue Trader landed, right? I got it for 130. It may have initially retailed for 150. Still very closely priced. The difference being Pariah Nexus has a third of the model count that is in Rogue Trader, which was between $10 to $30 cheaper, depending on where you purchased it. Also, about relatively the same amount of model count if you were to combine two of the Elite expansion boxes together. The upside to this, you actually get a board with this. I don't believe you got a board with those Elite expansion boxes. You just got the data card, some campaign sheets, the miniatures, of course, and some terrain pieces. So, relatively speaking, is the value similar when you consider the GW price increase? All of a sudden, there is a good argument that 160 isn't an awful price, but the value definitely skews less than the traditional value you got with previous Kill Team expansions, whether it was a single Elite, you bought both the Elite boxes at the same time, or like the Rogue Trader box set. There was definitely more value going back a year to 2 years ago. Not to mention the frustration of 40K players not being happy that Kill Team got their expansion models, at least that's their perception, the expansion models for their armies first in Kill Team versus in 40K 9th edition. So that's how I am kind of approaching this expansion. When I compare it to Rogue Trader, when I compare it to two Elite box sets put together, all of a sudden Pariah Nexus's price doesn't seem totally unrealistic. But I will agree with the majority of the voices out there. The value definitely isn't as high as it used to be. And there are good arguments to maybe not get this right now and to pick up copies off of eBay where 40K players have bought it just to get their whether they're playing Primaris or Necrons or they have armies for both. And they're going to get rid of the books. They're going to get rid of the cards. And they're going to get rid of the board. From what I understand, if you go on eBay right now, if you just need these items to play Pariah Nexus, yeah, these are going for around 25 to 35 bucks right now. That's over $100 cheaper. Now, that being said, in some of the auctions, they're including the Necron terrain because you don't need the Necron terrain for 40K. So even if you can find this collection for around 50 bucks, if budget is your primary concern, this, I hate to say it, would be the way to go, is to get this from a third-party vendor. But if you're an avid Kill Team fan, you want the Intercessors, you want the Necrons, then I think there's value to get this. It's not as great as it has been in the past, but if you're a diehard Kill Team player, this will work really well. Now, I'm not speaking to the rule changes. I definitely know there's some rule changes in this expansion that are questionable, especially with the Primaris stuff. They're pretty bonkers. I'm not going to speak to that. This is just an unboxing, and I want to speak to the value of this box set compared to the other releases we've seen so far from Kill Team. So again, that's it for this unboxing of the Kill Team Pariah Nexus. Let me go ahead and switch the cameras around, and I'll be right back. All right, so now that we did the unboxing, what did you all think of this new expansion? Specifically for those existing Kill Team players, as well as for those new to this game. I would love to hear your thoughts on that in the comments below. And as a reminder, please consider subscribing to the channel, as well as hitting the notification bell and sharing this content. That really helps the channel grow, and it's greatly appreciated. And with that said, I hope everyone's having a great day. Be safe, take care, and talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.